Ever wondered how deep the roots of corruption can penetrate a society? Welcome to the saga of Operation Car Wash. This tale begins in Brazil, a vibrant country known for its captivating culture, breathtaking landscapes, and unfortunately, a long-standing history of corruption. In the corridors of power in Brasilia, this corruption thrived, siphoning billions of dollars from public coffers and leaving the common man gasping for economic breath. Then, as if a ray of hope pierced through the dark clouds, in 2014, a team of audacious prosecutors launched an investigation that would come to be known as Operation Car Wash. This was no ordinary investigation. It was a landmark crusade against corruption, one that aimed to shake Brazil's foundation and expose the rot that had been eating away at the heart of the nation. The operation was a turning point for Brazil. It promised to expose the deep-seated corruption that had plagued the country for generations. It sent a powerful message that impunity, the feeling of untouchability often enjoyed by those in power, would no longer be tolerated. The scale of corruption that Operation Car Wash set out to uncover was staggering. It pointed fingers at top politicians, business leaders, and even members of Brazil's elite. As Operation Car Wash gained momentum, the scandal began to unfold like a gripping suspense novel. High-profile arrests were made, including that of former President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. The investigation sent shockwaves through Brazil's political establishment and sparked widespread protests demanding accountability and reform. This was the beginning of a seismic shift in public perception. It fueled growing demands for transparency and accountability in government and galvanized a new generation of activists committed to fighting corruption. So, with the stage set, the operation began to unfold, revealing a scandal of unprecedented proportions. A scandal that would expose the ugly underbelly of power, greed, and corruption in Brazil, and serve as a stark reminder to the world that no one is above the law. As the investigation progressed, the extent of corruption began to unravel, shocking Brazil and the world. Unfolding like a real-life political thriller, Operation Car Wash began to expose a complex web of corruption, reaching into the highest corridors of power. The investigation revealed a system of kickbacks and bribes, with vast sums of money changing hands. Construction companies, in a bid to secure lucrative contracts, were found to have paid off politicians and executives of Petrobras, Brazil's state-owned oil company. The players in this intricate game of graft and greed were no small fry. They were influential politicians, high-ranking officials, and top-tier business leaders, all entangled in this deep-seated corruption. Among the most influential was former President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, along with several members of his government. The corruption was not just confined to Petrobras. The investigation uncovered a network of illegal activities throughout Brazil's political and corporate world, involving dozens of politicians, several major construction firms, and even the country's largest meatpacking company. The methods used were sophisticated, involving money laundering, complex financial transactions, and offshore accounts, all designed to hide the tracks of the illicit gains. As the probe delved deeper, the arrests began to roll in. The sight of high-profile figures being led away in handcuffs was a shock to the nation. Each arrest seemed to shake the foundations of Brazil's political establishment further, putting the spotlight on the country's chronic issue of corruption. Among the most high-profile arrests was that of former President Lula himself. Once hailed as a champion of the working class, Lula was sentenced to nearly 10 years in prison for corruption and money laundering. His arrest sent shockwaves through the nation, further eroding public trust in the country's leaders. With each arrest, the public's trust in their leaders was further shaken. This was a pivotal moment in Brazil's history. A moment where the veil was lifted, revealing the extent of corruption that had been festering at the heart of the nation's political and corporate world. But Operation Car Wash was just getting started, and the fight against corruption was far from over. The shockwaves of Operation Car Wash were felt far beyond the corridors of power. As the scale of corruption was laid bare, Brazilian society responded with outrage and incredulity. The revelation sparked a wave of public protests, with citizens taking to the streets to voice their anger and demand accountability from their leaders. This widespread public outcry represented a profound shift in Brazilian society. For decades, corruption had been seen as an unfortunate but inescapable part of political life. But now, ordinary Brazilians were refusing to accept this status quo. They were demanding change, and they were willing to fight for it. The political landscape was also dramatically altered. Long-standing alliances crumbled as politicians implicated in the scandal were forced to step down or face prosecution. New parties and leaders emerged, promising to clean up Brazilian politics and restore public trust. The demand for transparency and integrity became a rallying cry in election campaigns, reshaping the political discourse. Yet the impact of Operation Car Wash was not solely confined to the realm of politics. It also had a profound effect on Brazil's business sector. Companies implicated in the scandal faced hefty fines, plummeting stocks, and a loss of public confidence. This forced many to reevaluate their practices and prioritize corporate ethics and compliance. The scandal also triggered changes in the judiciary. With the public demanding action, judges and prosecutors were under pressure to deliver justice. This led to an increased focus on tackling corruption, with new legislation being enacted and existing laws being more rigorously enforced. Operation Car Wash has left an indelible mark on Brazilian society and politics. It has exposed the depth of corruption in the country's political and business sectors, and it has galvanized the public to demand better from their leaders. The operation has triggered a seismic shift in public perception, fueling demands for transparency and accountability. It serves as a stark reminder that the fight against corruption is far from over, but it is a fight that Brazil is willing to take on. The impacts of Operation Car Wash were not confined to Brazil alone. As the ripples of this seismic investigation spread, it sent shockwaves through political and corporate corridors worldwide. It underlined a poignant reality. Corruption is a global menace, and no nation is immune. Operation Car Wash served as a wake-up call, a clarion call for nations to intensify their fight against corruption. It taught us that corruption thrives in the shadows of complacency and silence. It flourishes where accountability is weak and oversight is lax. But it also taught us that with relentless pursuit, even the most formidable citadels of corruption can be dismantled. The lessons learned from Operation Car Wash are now being used to strengthen anti-corruption efforts globally. Countries are bolstering their legal frameworks, improving transparency in public procurement, enhancing whistleblower protections, and fostering a culture of accountability. The fight against corruption has become a global crusade, and Operation Car Wash has been a catalyst in this endeavor. But while significant strides have been made, the battle is far from over. Corruption, like a chameleon, adapts and evolves. It finds new ways to infiltrate and infect systems. Therefore, the fight against corruption must be unyielding, relentless, and adaptive. The fight continues in Brazil, where the legacy of Operation Car Wash is still unfolding. The operation has initiated a new era of accountability where no one, regardless of their stature or influence, is above the law. The fight also continues globally, as nations strive to learn from Brazil's experience, fortify their defenses, and root out corruption from their systems. And so, as we reflect on the saga of Operation Car Wash, we are reminded of the magnitude of the challenge we face, the courage it takes to confront it, and the unyielding resolve required to overcome it. We are reminded that the fight against corruption is a marathon, not a sprint. It's a long and arduous journey, fraught with challenges and setbacks. Operation Car Wash serves as a stark reminder: the fight for justice and accountability is a continuous struggle. As we reflect on the impact of Operation Car Wash, one thing becomes clear. The depth of this scandal, which revealed an intricate webs of corruption, has left an indelible mark on Brazil's political landscape and has significantly influenced the global fight against corruption. The operation exposed the rot that had taken root in the country's corridors of power, implicating top politicians, business leaders, and members of Brazil's elite. The sheer scale of corruption unveiled by this investigation was staggering, to say the least. It sent shockwaves through Brazil's political establishment and led to widespread protests, demanding accountability and reform. The people of Brazil made it clear: impunity would no longer be tolerated. Operation Car Wash served as a stark reminder to the world that no one is above the law. It showcased the power of justice and the resilience of democracy in the face of entrenched interests. It also underscored the crucial role that citizens play in holding their leaders accountable, and the pivotal part that journalists and prosecutors play in uncovering the truth. Most importantly, Operation Car Wash has sparked a seismic shift in public perception. It has fueled growing demands for transparency and accountability in government, galvanizing a new generation of activists committed to fighting corruption. It has shown us that the fight against corruption is a continuous one, requiring vigilance and determination. In the years since the operation, Brazil has continued its fight against corruption, sending a powerful message to the world. The fight for justice and accountability is far from over. Operation Car Wash is a testament to the resilience of democracy, the power of justice, and the unyielding spirit of the people. It serves as a beacon of hope, reminding us that the fight against corruption is not just a battle but a war that must be won. It's a testament to the power of justice and the resilience of democracy. Like and subscribe to Exposing. Drive for more content on global corruption scandals.